Hi guys, it's Alli. In today's video I have the OPI Iceland collection for live swatch and review. If you're new to my channel, I do primarily nail polish reviews. Occasionally I'll throw in some different types of videos like a monthly review, basically where I talk about what I did throughout the month or what I enjoyed throughout the month. Occasionally I'll throw in some hauls, I'll do some makeup reviews on occasion, but for the most part we're talking about nail polish on the channel and reviewing nail polish on the channel. So I hope you'll consider subscribing and sticking around. As you can see, I have a box here to my right, your left, where I list the timestamps. Recently I changed the way I do my reviews, where I'm trying to give you as much detail as possible about the brand that you're potentially going to purchase from, the order experience that you might have based on mine, and the collection itself. I go into each individual polish, reviewing each polish, describing the color, telling you how it applies, and kind of giving an overall rating of the polish. And then at the end I do a collection review. So if you're interested in all of those components, you'll just keep watching. If you want to skip around to your favorite part, I do have timestamps listed here for you to be able to skip around. I know one of you requested for me to put the order information, brand information, etc. at the end. I thought about doing that and I kind of tried to format my notes that way. It just didn't flow for me, and so I'm just going to stick to the way I've been doing it. So we will get started with the brand information. So OPI, based on my research, does not test their products on animals, and they don't commission a third party to do so either. However, they are owned by Coty Inc., and Coty Inc. sells products in China. China requires mandatory animal testing on any imports, so it's up to you to decide whether or not OPI is a cruelty-free brand. OPI nail polishes are 3-free. They don't contain formaldehyde, toluene, or DBP. For your reference, here is the OPI brush. It is a wide, flat brush. It's actually one of my favorites, second behind the Wet n Wild brush. It's ideal for those who have kind of normal width or a little bit wider nail beds. Those who have smaller nail beds might have trouble. It fits within my pinky, but just barely. Okay, so I ordered this collection from the Trans Design website, their discount site. I'd never seen new OPI polishes on that site before, and I went on there recently and I don't see the brand at all on the site now. So it's really weird. It's completely, like the entire brand has completely disappeared from the Trans Design site. That's so weird. But here's my order information because I'm not crazy. I definitely did order this collection from the Trans Design site. Each polish was $4.99, which is the absolute cheapest I've ever seen an OPI sold, a brand new OPI sold anywhere. So a little bit about Trans Design per their website. If you are not satisfied with any product that you purchase from them, you can return it within 15 days. You need to include the original packaging and any warranty or manuals that were sent with it as well. You're responsible for the shipping charges if you do return anything. So per the Trans Design website, processing usually takes 1 to 2 business days. And then shipping is based on the amount of weight and where you're located in the country or where you're having it shipped to in the country. I paid anywhere from $7 to $12 for shipping, which is on the high end. For nail polishes, for a lot of nail polish, it's not really that bad, but you can get places that have flat rate shipping. So it is a little bit on the high side. So Trans Design does ship internationally. They utilize FedEx, UPS, and the US Postal Service for deliveries. On their site, you can go to the shipping page and you can see an estimate for delivery dates from FedEx and UPS. So it shows the map of the US and I think Puerto Rico, and depending on where you're located, you can go and you can see how many days it should take. I live in North Carolina, and so it said 2 days, and I ordered the whole collection. I ordered this collection, the China Glaze collection, and the Orly collection. The fall collection's right behind the China Glaze one. I ordered all 3 of those together on Thursday, July 20th. I received shipping notice on Friday, July 21st, and the polishes arrived at my door on Monday, July 24th. So all of that is within the amount of time that they say it should take, which is awesome. And I have to say, I have no affiliation with the company at all, but I absolutely love Trans Design. They are phenomenal. Customer service has always been good. I've never had a bad experience with them. Alright, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time with the collection information because I know in the past with my reviews I've been a little bit harsh on brands, including OPI, for why they're putting out certain things when they put them out. If it doesn't look like it belongs in this season, why? So we're going to go through some things that I found on the website and in an article that I researched. So the Iceland collection is being marketed on the OPI website as the fall and winter 2017 collections. So I'm assuming there's not going to be another collection released this year. Per the UK website, the OPI website for the UK, I'm just going to read this off for you. It says, "This autumn, journey to the land of fire and ice and express yourself through color with the Iceland collection by OPI. Featuring a palette inspired by the country's scenic, varied landscape of volcanoes, geysers, hot springs, lava fields, and glaciers, this collection offers a range of captivating chic hues that portray the wild beauty of Iceland." So it's all supposed to be reminiscent of the country Iceland. Then I went to, I just was Googling OPI Iceland collection just to see what was out there about it. And there's a website, or there's a magazine called Scratch Magazine. I went to their website and they had, I believe her name is Suzi Fishman. I don't really know how to pronounce her name. I didn't look that up. But she's the co-founder and brand ambassador for OPI. And they had an article where they had talked to her. I'll link that below for you, but I'm just going to read what some of the article said. Inspired by the land of blue lagoons and northern lights, this 12-piece palette offers a range of chic hues that portray the country's wild beauty. Each shade will be available in nail lacquer, the long wear, infinite shine, and gel color formulas, with colors inspired by the country's unspoiled, otherworldly terrain. And then here's a quote from Suzi. It says, "Iceland is quickly rising to the top of everyone's must-see list. Thanks to its unparalleled landscapes, diverse food culture, and unique fashion," states Suzi. "In designing the colors for the Iceland collection, I was of course inspired by the country's rugged natural beauty. From the rare northern lights to majestic glaciers, Iceland is unlike anywhere else in the world. This autumn, black is the new black. Expect to see lots of varied hues of this classic shade with sophisticated undertones of brown and gray, as well as blue hues with denim remaining a major trend. With the Iceland collection by OPI, there are many options from high fashion shades of blue-gray, khaki green, and orange clay to updated, timeless, deep dark hues of blue, black, brown, and berry." So we know what to expect. This is all about Iceland. It's less about autumn and more about Iceland, but they wanted it to have kind of an autumn-like feel. So we know what to expect. This is a 12-piece collection, and here are the timestamps if you're interested in skipping ahead. So I'm going to make one more quick note. I know this is a long video, but from my China Glaze, My Little Pony collection review and the Zoya Sophisticates collection review, I'm changing up my rating system just slightly. Since I review the whole collection for its price at the end, I'm taking that out of my individual polish review, and my individual polish review will be based solely on the performance of the polishes. So that's a little bit different. And then I also wanted to kind of cut down on the length of time that I'm spending on the video. So I'm going to be taking out formula, ease of use, and the number of coats, and I'm just going to give you the overall polish rating if you are interested in having a breakdown of how I rated it for ease of use or number of coats. You can always ask me and I'll reply to you in a comment. Also, I mentioned this on Instagram and Facebook. I now have two nails that had to be patched. My middle finger on my left hand, which is my swatching hand, needed to be patched, and it looks a little weird, so I decided to just swatch on my ring finger. So it's just a one-finger swatch, and I actually like the way it looks. I think I'm able to zoom in a little bit more and show you a little bit more of the performance, so I might just stick with one fingernail. We'll see, but definitely while this patch is on here, yeah. So the first polish we're looking at is called I'll Have a Gin and Tonic. I love these names. OPI has the best names of like every brand. I love their names. Okay, so this one is kind of it's a nude. I don't like using that word, but it's a nude. I'll put the Pantone reference somewhere up here on the screen. This is kind of a rose. It's almost like a rosy meets peach undertoned type of nude. It is quite beautiful. The consistency of I'll Have a Gin and Tonic is normal. It's not too thin, not too thick, just perfectly in the middle. On the first coat, this one was slightly sheer. On the first coat, this one was slightly sheer and it did have a few streaks. So it does need two, but it is completely and very easily opaque in 2 coats. No issue. It finishes glossy. And I rated I'll Have a Gin and Tonic at 4 out of 5 stars. Next up we have Aurora Berry-Alis, which is such a cute name as well. I love these names. This one I would describe as kind of like a muddy berry shade, kind of like a murky. I'll say murky berry shade. Can't talk. This one had a normal consistency as well. It was about 90% opaque on the first coat. I could just see the V&L. It was barely there, but it was there to where I needed 2 coats. But again, 2 very easy coats. This one dries glossy, which is nice. And I rated Aurora Berry-Alis at 4.5 out of 5 stars. And our third polish is called Reykjavik, has all the hot spots. This one I would describe as kind of like a mauvey, purpley undertoned shimmer polish. There are some blue and green and purple iridescent glitters in here that they're really hard to see until you put it on the nail, which is interesting. This one had a slightly thin formula. It's a lot thinner than what I prefer to work with, but it's not terribly thin. It's not really bad. It's pretty sheer on the first coat, but it does cover the nail very easily. So if you only like the one, sheer wash of color, then it's not too bad for that. Surprisingly, this one did get opaque in 2. I definitely thought that it was going to require 3. I will say, if you have any damage on your nails like I had on my T-patch, y'all, it does not help you out at all. So this is not for those with damage on their nails, peeling nails, ridgy nails. It's probably a pass for you. It does finish very shimmery, and I actually rated this at 5 out of 5, and I'm going to explain why. Because it is hard to get shimmer polishes like this, almost like a frosty shimmer polish like this, that's that sheer on the first coat, opaque in 2. I felt like that was awesome, and I feel like you can't really get any better than a 2-coat shimmer, frosty kind of shade, so that's why I rated it at 5 out of 5. Next up we have That's What Friends Are Thor, which is such a cute name. So this one was a warmer chocolate brown shade. It does go on a lot cooler than it dries, so just keep that in mind if you're looking, you put it on, you're like, that's not what I thought it was going to be. It definitely dries a lot warmer, and it dries a little bit warmer than from what I see, with what my eyes see. It dries warmer than what you see in the bottle. This one had the thinnest formula of the entire collection. For me, it was my least favorite. It was sheer and streaky, very streaky on the first coat. Surprisingly, was able to be opaque in 2. The finish of this one was glossy, and I rated it at 4 out of 5 stars. Next we have Krona-Logical Order. Love the name. This one I would describe, well, they describe it as kind of an espresso shade. I would describe it as a slightly gray leaning espresso color. It's a very rich brown. I think it's very beautiful too, personally. So this one had a thin to normal consistency. It was thinner than normal, but it wasn't excessively thin or anything. On the first coat, this one went on a little bit sheer and a little bit streaky, but it was easily opaque in 2. It dried glossy, and I rated it at 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next we have Suzi and the Arctic Fox. This one is kind of like a midnight purple with a lot of heavy brown notes in there, kind of like chocolatey purple. Very interesting polish. This one had a thin to normal consistency as well. On the first coat, it was slightly sheer and just a tiny bit streaky on one. On some nails, I thought it might be completely opaque in one. However, to get the true depth of what is in the bottle, you will definitely need your second coat. This one dries glossy, and I would rate Suzi and the Arctic Fox at 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, we have Less is Norse. This one I would describe as kind of like a charcoal blurple. Lots of heavy gray, dark gray, rich notes in there, and then it's definitely like a bluey purple, gorgeous. Leans a little bit more purple than blue, but still it's kind of along those blurple-y lines. So Less is Norse had a thin to normal consistency. Going on the nails, it is the inksiest bit sheer on the first coat. I could definitely see some people stopping at 1. It's just a tiny bit sheer to where I can just see the V&L. I definitely see people stopping at 1. I did take mine to 2 just because I want full opacity, because that's how I am as a person. But this one had an interesting satiny finish. It wasn't completely matte. It wasn't far from glossy. more of a satiny finish. And I rated Less is Norse at 4.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, and next we're looking at Check Out the Old Geysirs. Geysirs. Knee slapper. So this one is kind of a grayed out light blue. It has this really fine, vibrant blue shimmer in it. It makes it very interesting and pretty. This one had a normal consistency. It was a tiny bit sheer on the first coat, but very even. So again, if you like just that one coat, you're going to really love this polish. It's really, really pretty, and the shimmer is beautiful. It dries glossy, and I rated Check Out the Old Geysirs at 4.5 out of 5 stars. And next we have This Isn't Greenland. This one is gorgeous. Oh man, I love this one. It is a cross between kind of like an army green and a moss green, but it's definitely on the warmer side. It's really, really, really warm for a green. For a green in that color family. They're already warm, but I'm rambling. So this one had normal consistency. It was just a tiny bit sheer on the first coat, needing 2, but easily and completely opaque in 2. It dries glossy, and I rated this one at 4.5 out of 5 stars. However, this one is hands down my favorite polish in this collection. Alright, and next we're looking at Icelanded, a bottle of OPI. Love the name. This one is what I would just describe as a nice taupe shade. It had a normal consistency. It was decently sheer on the first coat and a little tiny bit streaky on number 1, so it needed two, I don't know why I'm saying number 1, number 2. It needed 2 coats. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best by any means. It does dry glossy, and I rated this one at 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, and next we have one Heckla of a color. This one is a orchidy purple that's very, very muted. I don't have anything quite like this in my collection. Definitely have that orchidy purple undertone in a lot of polishes, but the level of how this is muted, I don't have anything exactly like this in my collection, so I did like this one. The formula or the consistency of it was quite normal. On the first coat it was a little bit sheer but pretty even, so again, if you just like one wash of color, one coat of color, this is going to be perfect for you. It is easily opaque in 2 coats. It dries glossy. I rated this one at 4.5 out of 5 stars, and this one is my second favorite of the collection. And then we have what I believe is supposed to be kind of like the star of the collection, which is Turn on the Northern Lights. This one is kind of a blurple, it's a blurple indigo, I'll say indigo shade with a strong iridescent shimmer. Is it showing? I don't know, but it's so shifty. I cannot talk today. It is so shifty, it's ridiculous. And that is on the bottle. It does show up on the nails okay. It's not quite as pronounced as it is in the bottle, but it does show up on the nails as well. It was difficult to photograph this one, as are most shifty polishes. Anyway, the consistency of Turn on the Northern Lights was my favorite of the collection. It was the thickest of the collection, but I would not say that it's a thick polish at all. It's in the normal realm for me. It's not as thick as I would like it, but it is the thickest of the collection. It's slightly sheer and a little bit streaky on the first coat, as these types of shades usually are a tiny bit streaky. However, it was easily opaque in 2 coats. This one dries shimmery and glossy, and I rated Turn on the Northern Lights at 4 out of 5 stars. Okay guys, so that is the full collection. I really was disappointed in the uniqueness of the collection. I really only found 2 shades that were kind of unique. Those are This Isn't Greenland and one Heckla of a color. Those are the only 2 out of the 12 that I probably don't have dupes for. I think Turn on the Northern Lights is pretty unique as well. I just didn't care for it. So for uniqueness, I rated it at 2 out of 5 stars. There wasn't much in here that you probably don't already own in some brand. For cohesiveness, I'm gonna rate it a 3 out of 5. To be honest, I've never seen Iceland. I've looked at some pictures of it, but I haven't looked at enough apparently to be able to get this collection. It didn't feel very cohesive to me, and giving it 3 out of 5 was quite generous. I guess the reason why I gave it 3 out of 5 is there are those browns and those rich blues and purples that do make me feel like fall, but some of these shades look more springish than they do like autumn, and they specifically called out autumn in their quotes. I mean, they were referencing autumn, so it's not like they were trying to it's not like they were trying to market the collection for the southern hemisphere and say, oh, it's spring. No, they called out autumn specifically. So it looked a little weird to me. Just didn't really look cohesive to me. So for cohesiveness, I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. I could give it 2 out of 5, but I'll be generous and give it 3 out of 5. At price, if you're paying $5 to $6, there are a couple of other discount sites, which I'll link in the description box for you, where you can get these polishes at between $5 and $6. I would rate this collection at a 4 out of 5. It's not bad for $5 to $6. For $10 a polish, I would give it a 1 out of 5. I'm going to be honest. And the reason is this is not a $120 value collection at all by any means. If you're going to spend $120 on nail polish for one collection, I advise you go to Glam Polish's site, go to Super Chick Lacquer or Super Cheek Lacquer, whatever it's called, Super Chick Lacquer I think. Who else? I'm looking at my wall. I mean, you can go almost to any indie brand and buy a full collection and have better formulas, more cohesiveness, near one coat formulas. If you're going to Glam Polish, you're going to get near one coat formulas. Their collections are always cohesive. They always look beautiful, like they belong together, and I love displaying them. They're gorgeous. So yes, if you're paying full price for these, 1 out of 5 stars. Not worth it. For accessibility, OPI is everywhere, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. And then for the average of the polish performance, it was 4.33 out of 5 stars. So I'm going to give the entire collection a 3.67 out of 5 stars. And again, that's being brought down by the uniqueness and cohesiveness, which really, to me, weren't there for this collection. So that is my review. If you have this collection, I would love to hear which of these was your favorite polish. I'm going to go ahead and say that these two were my favorite, the two that were more unique. This isn't Greenland and one Heckla of a color. And I'm also going to go ahead and say that you will see, if my sister and my best friend don't steal a couple of these beforehand, these will definitely be on my D-Stash site. I have no interest in any of the rest of them. None. So I'd love to hear which ones were your favorite if you picked these up. If you're interested in picking some up from the D-Stash site, remember that I purchased them for $4.99 each, and they will be some percentage off. I can't remember right now, but they will be discounted even more than that, so you can get a pretty good deal if you really want this collection. And if you don't have these, but you liked what you saw, I'd love to hear what you're looking to get. If you have any requests for future videos, leave them in the comments, and I will just see you guys in the next video very soon.